Hi, and welcome to What Do You Know When You Know a Word? This is a series of videos designed to explore hidden areas of knowledge that you have tucked away in your brain about the words that you use on a day-in, day-out basis. Today we're going to be exploring what I call word grammar. Let's start off with a little test. I'm going to show you a list of 10 words. Your task is to read that list through one time quickly, because the list won't be visible to you for very long. Then when I take it away, repeat the list word for word in the exact order that you saw it. Okay, get ready, watch the screen. Your list appears now. Okay, repeat the list word for word in the exact order. Most people cannot do it. Very rare is the individual that can look at that list like that and repeat all 10 words in order. There's the list I showed you. What normally happens is you'll get the first 2, 3, 4 correct, you'll fade out in the middle, and perhaps you'll make a comeback at the end. Now, that was a warm-up. Now you know how it goes. Let's do it again. I'm going to show you a different list of 10 words. The same thing applies. I want you to read the list through one time quickly. I'm going to take it away, and then I want you to repeat it word for word in the order in which it was presented to you. All right, look at the screen carefully. Your list appears now. Okay, go. This second list was easy for you to do. I would wager that everybody got it right. Here's the first list. Notice that the words in the first list are identical to the words in the second list. However, the words in the second list lined up into what we would call a sentence. And when that happened, your brain was able to do magical things with it. I'll come back to that point here in a minute. First, let's briefly review what we are exploring here. You have in your brain an area of knowledge I refer to as your speaking brain. It's not a contiguous area, and not in one location in your brain like I'm showing it here. It's spread out all over the brain. I have a single place here, so I'll have something to point to, metaphorically. In your speaking brain, among other things, is a vast warehouse of knowledge that you have stored about words. That knowledge includes the meaning, pronunciation, and spelling of words, basic, fundamental, mission-critical information that you must be in total control of if you want to use words like a native speaker. However, those are not the 3 areas that I'm examining in this video and in my forthcoming book. I'm examining hidden areas of information. In previous videos, we have seen word changes and word pairings. In this video, we're going to explore a third hidden dimension of word knowledge that you have tucked away in your speaking brain, what I call word grammar. Now, let's turn back to that list that we did at the beginning. Your brain is a pattern-seeking device. Grammar is a pattern-generating device. They absolutely love each other. Word grammar, then, part of what you know when you know word grammar is the parts of speech of every word that you use or read or hear. Your conscious brain may not know much about parts of speech, but I guarantee you that your speaking brain knows them very well. Every sentence, every phrase that you see, hear, write, or read, your speaking brain knows the parts of speech. When the parts of speech line up into a pattern that your brain recognizes because of your knowledge of grammar, your brain becomes a word processor without compare. It does absolutely magical things to words when they're like that. Suddenly a list of 10 words fall together in what feels like some logical order, and it's very simple for you to remember them. All right, so there's a brief demonstration of the effect that grammar has on words. Let's look at some more specific examples of word grammar. I'm going to start off with adjectives. Again, your conscious brain may not be able to recognize an adjective from an avocado, but I guarantee you, again, your speaking brain knows them very well. All right, in this little demonstration, I'm going to give you a word, kittens, a noun, if you're interested. Then I'm going to give you a series of adjectives, and I want you to incorporate each adjective into a phrase using the previous word, in this case, or phrase. So, if I were to ask you to add her, what would you come up with? Her kittens. You wouldn't dream of saying kittens her. Okay, let's go some more. Add beautiful to her kittens. What do you have? Her beautiful kittens. Add 3 to the previous phrase. What do you have? Her 3 beautiful kittens. Add Siamese to the previous phrase. What do you have? Her 3 beautiful Siamese kittens. Now, if we could listen in on everybody that went through this demonstration, we would find that everybody came up with the exact same word order. They solved each of these little problems in the exact same manner. So your speaking brain must know some operative rule that allows it to make these decisions in rapid-fire manner in 100% agreement with every other native English speaker on the planet. What's the rule then that your speaking brain knows? How do you know how to do that? If a non-native speaker who was struggling with this concept, and they do struggle with it, if this non-native speaker were to ask you, what piece of knowledge do you possess that lets you do that? What's the rule? Would you be able to tell them? No. Unless you've studied linguistics or grammar in some detail, all you know in your conscious brain is what's right and what's wrong. It sounds wrong to say her beautiful 3 Siamese kittens. It sounds wrong to say Siamese, her 3 beautiful kittens. Why? You don't know. I'm not going to take the time here to go into the rule and explore the details. I do so in the book if you're interested, or you can of course find out, I'm sure, online. Let's move on. Joining verbs. When you join 2 verbs together, the first verb quite often has a grammar rule that it imposes upon the union. For example, if you're going to join want and go into a sentence like I've shown you on screen here, what would you say? I want to go home. You cannot say I want go home. Nor can you say I want going home. You have to insert to. That is a grammar rule that want enforces. What about can? Can you say I can to go home? No. Can forbids the addition of to. I can go home. What about need? All right, now we're back to to. Need requires to. Now let's get a little more complicated. What about hate? You can say 2 things. You can join these verbs in 2 manners. One is I hate going, where ing is added. The other is I hate to go. I hate going home, or I hate to go home. Does the meaning change in these 2 sentences? No. The influence, the accent does, but not the meaning. What about stopped? You can use both of them again. I stopped going home, or I stopped to go home. Does the meaning differ? Yes, it does. So, when you know verbs in English, you have to know how to combine them with other verbs in sentences if you want to be able to use these words like a native speaker does. All right, a final example here to examine briefly is the word "the." "The" is the most often used word in the English language. If you were to take a large section of language and line the words up in order of frequency, "the" would be at the top by a considerable margin, followed by "a" or "an." I'm going to ignore "a" and in this little demonstration. We're just going to look at "the." "The" has an incredible variety of rules that apply to it. Very difficult for non-native speakers to master. I'm going to give you just a brief sample of one of them. General rule: you do not use "the" with names of people or places, that is, with proper nouns. You don't say, for example, "I live in the Ohio," or "I am going to the California." It's simply Ohio or California. However, there are lots of exceptions. Let's explore one and see if you can figure it out. It's a pretty easy one. Fill in the blanks with "the." I live in nothing. No "the." I live in the Canada. No way. I live in, again, nothing. I live in the Virgin Islands. You cannot say "I live in Virgin Islands" in English. That sounds funny. I live in the Netherlands. Required. Now, what's the rule? What's the exception to using "the" in front of a person or place name? You do not use "the" with singular names. You're required to use "the" with plural names. I live in the United States. I visited the Hawaiian Islands, or I visited Hawaii. So, this is just a quick peek at the amount of information that you have to have absolutely mastered about the grammatical implications of words when you use them in sentences in English. If you want additional information about this or other subjects relating to word knowledge that you have hidden in your brain, go to my website, languageandbrain.com. There you'll find links to other sources of information, and you'll find snippets of things to read that give you more detail. I'm going to be producing and uploading more YouTube videos. Finally, I have written the book and am seeking a publisher as I speak. The name of the book, What Do You Know When You Know a Word? This book explores in some detail the hidden knowledge that you have tucked away in your brain about English words. This book is not meant for linguists or grammarians. You don't need any special knowledge about English language. Just be interested in the language and words, how it works, etc., etc. Thank you for taking the time to watch the video. Go to my website. There you will find out how to contact me. I would love to hear from you. Thanks.